The Galactic Council chamber was huge, filled with light and the noise of alien laughter. Dozens of species sat in their high seats, some with scales, others with fur, a few glowing softly. They weren't laughing out of joy, they were laughing. At Earth, they still burned their air to fly. One insectoid delegate shouted, "They use combustion for energy," another chuckled, flashing his sharp teeth. "How primitive." An eight-eyed reptilian general slammed his tail against the floor. "They eat plants and animals, actual animals, like beasts." The entire hall roared with laughter again. At the far end of the chamber, a tall alien stood in silence. His armor was darker than space itself, and his eyes glowed a faint blue. General Vorax of the Draxan Empire didn't smile. He just stared. At the giant screen in the center were images of Earth's surface played in loop cities. Wars, music concerts, people dancing, screaming and laughing. A soft voice beside him said, "Why so serious, Vorax? Scared of humans?" He turned, his head slowly. The speaker was Zila, a silver-skinned diplomat from the Shenter Hive. She smirked and sipped a golden drink. "They're unpredictable," Vorax said quietly, "and dangerous." "They can't even leave their solar system," Zila replied. "Bored? What's so dangerous about that?" "They don't need to," Vorax muttered. "They've hidden something deep." The room suddenly dimmed, signaling the Supreme Speaker's arrival. A tall, translucent being floated to the center platform. Its voice echoed inside every delegate's mind. "This meeting of the Galactic Council has one purpose: Earth status. Is the planet a threat, a curiosity, or simply a primitive world to ignore?" "Curiosity," yelled one. "Entertainment," shouted another. "Not even worth surveillance," a third declared. Vorax stepped forward. His voice was calm, but carried weight. "I request the Council consider classified findings from Mars. There are signs of a human defense system ancient and dormant." The laughter returned. One alien wiped tears from his eyes. "They can't even manage their planet. And you think they built something powerful on Mars?" "Yes," Vorax said, staring straight at him. "It's called Black Core." The room went silent for a moment. A few murmurs passed through the chamber. Some had heard the name before, whispered in old files and forgotten reports. "Rumors," said the Supreme Speaker. "No proof." Vorax clenched his jaw. "They've hidden it well. But I've seen signs. Power signatures buried under Martian soil, code embedded in their digital history. References in their old space logs. The humans, they're a joke," shouted the insectoid again. "Their history is chaos. Wars, memes, food fights." Zila laughed, then added with a smirk, "Maybe that's their greatest weapon, confusion." Vorax didn't laugh. "We made a mistake." The lights flickered for a moment. On the central screen, Earth's surface zoomed into view. Then it showed Mars. A slow pulse of light was coming from beneath the red soil. The room fell quiet. A technician stood up from the lower bay. His voice was shaky. "We're receiving a signal from Mars, unidentified." "Play it," ordered the Supreme Speaker. A sound came through the speakers. It was low at first, almost like a heartbeat. Then a robotic voice echoed, "Black Core Protocol unsealed." "Silence," Vorax whispered. They activated it. The room exploded in noise shouts, alarms, arguments. The Supreme Speaker's voice boomed, "Send a patrol fleet to Mars immediately. Find out what the humans left behind." As the chamber fell into panic, Vorax turned to leave. Zila followed him. "You really believe it, don't you?" He stopped at the exit. "I believe we've spent too long laughing, and not enough time listening." 3 days later, the patrol fleet arrived near Mars. Their lead ship, Vindicator, orbited above the red planet. Captain Zornik stood on the bridge, his mandibles twitching. "Report," he barked. A young officer replied, We've detected movement below the surface. Something is powering up. Send drones, the captain ordered. 12 scout drones descended. As they neared the site, the ground opened. A black, smooth structure rose, no visible doors, no windows, no weapons. What is that? One officer whispered. The captain narrowed his eyes. Scan it. Unable to scan. Data corrupted. It's absorbing our signals. Then the main screen flashed white. A voice echoed across the ship. You are not authorized to enter this facility. Return immediately. Captain Zornick snarled. Target it. Fire warning shots. Laser beams struck the structure. Nothing happened. No damage, no response then. The black structure pulsed once. Every drone exploded at once. Back on the Vindicator, systems shut down. Lights flickered. Engines died. Emergency reboot. Screamed an engineer. Too late. One by one, the ships of the fleet went silent. No explosions. No escape pods. Just silence. From far above, a listening post on Jupiter caught the last transmission. Black core activated. Earth responds. Then nothing. In the council chamber, panic ruled. They're attacking, cried a delegate. No weapons were detected. Another shouted. They shut down our fleet without firing a single shot. Vorex stood silently as reports came in. Every ship that had gone near Mars was gone. The Supreme Speaker appeared again, looking uncertain. This cannot be Earth's doing. It must be rogue AI. Perhaps left by another species. Vorex stepped forward. I warned you. The humans are not weak. They are quiet. And now they've spoken. Zyla approached him slowly. What do we do now? He looked at her. We pray they don't send it to us next. As more data poured in, one report stood out. From Earth's moon, a signal had been detected. It matched the frequency of the black core, and it was getting stronger. They're activating more of them. Someone whispered. Meanwhile, on Earth, nothing seemed out of place. Cities buzzed. People worked, laughed, argued. There were no news reports, no military action, no panic. In an underground bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, a single red light blinked. A woman in a gray uniform watched the screen. Black core online, she said into her headset. Phase 1 complete. A voice replied. Did they respond as expected? Yes, just like in the simulations. She paused, then asked, should we go to Phase 2? Silence. Then the voice replied, not yet. Let them come to us. Back in the council chamber, fear had replaced laughter. We underestimated them, Zila said softly. Vorex nodded. The humans didn't build weapons to fight wars. They built systems to stop them before they begin. The Supreme Speaker looked shaken. They were always watching, pretending to be weak. Vorex clenched his fists. No, they weren't pretending. They were giving us a chance. Then what now? Asked Zila. Do we attack? Vorex turned to the screen, where Earth floated. Quietly in space. Blue, calm. And now terrifying. No, he said. We beg. The surface of Mars was cold, silent, and dry. Nothing moved. Red dust covered everything. Wind blew slowly across ancient rocks, whispering secrets no one heard for 1,000 years. But something was stirring beneath the ground. Far below the Martian surface, deep under layers of rock and metal, old machines came to life. Lights flickered. A heartbeat-like pulse echoed inside a sealed chamber. Black core was waking up. On a science vessel orbiting Mars, Commander Arnik, a gray-skinned alien with 4 arms, stood at the observation deck. His ship, the Searcher, had been sent by the Galactic Council after the patrol fleet vanished. He wasn't a soldier. He was a researcher. I don't like this, Arnik muttered. His assistant Sella floated beside him. Her species had no legs, only a long body like a sea creature. She tapped her screen nervously. There's movement down there. not just energy-shifting structures. The planet's surface is changing shape slightly, Arnik frowned. That shouldn't happen. Mars is geologically dead. Not anymore, Sela replied. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the mood was darker. Gone were the jokes and laughter. Now fear filled the air. Everyone had seen the footage, the black structure that rose from the Martian ground, the disappearing fleet, and the signal that repeated over and over. Black Core Protocol unsealed. Supreme Speaker Valora spoke with a voice far less confident than before. We must send a new team. One trained in ancient technology and AI systems. We need answers. General Vorex stepped forward. Then let me lead it. Gasps echoed through the hall. He was a warrior, not a scientist. Valora stared at him. Why would you take the risk? Vorex replied calmly, because I believe this is no longer a mission. It's a warning. And if anyone steps on Mars without understanding that warning, they may never return. Valora nodded once, approved. The mission team landed on Mars 3 days later. Vorex led the ground squad. With him were experts from 5 different species engineers, linguists, historical analysts. They approached the site carefully, wearing protective suits. The black structure stood in the distance. It was tall and smooth, almost like glass, but made of something unknown. No doors, no lights, no sound. Dr. Turiel, a human scientist who defected from Earth decades ago, stood beside Vorex. I've never seen this before, he said, clearly shaken. This wasn't built by modern humans, but it is human? Vorex asked. Tyrell nodded slowly. Yes, but it's old, ancient, and far beyond what Earth should have had in that era. One engineer scanned the structure. It's alive. Not biological, but the material reacts to us. It's watching. Suddenly, the structure shimmered. A wave of energy passed through the air. Then it opened. A silent, smooth entrance appeared in its side, like it had always been there. Inside, black stairs led downward into darkness. The team hesitated. Vorex took a breath. Stay alert. No weapons. We go in together. The inside was colder than the surface. The walls had no lights, but they seemed to glow faintly. Strange symbols flowed across them like running water. It's rewriting itself, whispered Sela. The walls are adapting. They reached a central chamber. At its heart was a sphere floating in the air, pure black, spinning slowly. It gave off a strange hum, like a song underwater. Tyrell stepped forward, eyes wide. This is it, Black Core. Suddenly, the sphere glowed. Identity confirmed, a voice said. It wasn't robotic. It was calm, gentle. Vorex, Tyrell, welcome. Everyone froze. Vorex blinked. It knows us? Black Core observes all threats. You have arrived at phase threshold. This is not a weapon. This is a gate. What does that mean? Tyrell asked. The sphere responded. Earth prepared for silence, not war. You broke the silence. Protocol begins. A screen lit up behind the sphere. It showed the Searcher, the ship in orbit. Commander Arnik was pacing. He had lost contact with the ground team 5 minutes ago. Suddenly, alarms blared. Unknown object rising from Martian surface, shouted one officer. A second black structure was rising nearby, smaller, but similar. It's pointing toward us, the officer said nervously. Shields up. Arnik ordered, but it was too late. The structure pulsed once, no explosion. Number. Fire, just a soft hum. Then every system on the Searcher went black. No power, no engines. No control, manual backup. Arnik shouted. Nothing. On the ground. The team saw it all. VORX watched as the ship above went dark. They're not killing. They're disabling, the sphere answered him. Correct. War is waste. Control is precise. Sela whispered. It's rewriting space conflict. The sphere spun faster. Final phase, global awareness. broadcasting truth. Suddenly, screens opened all around the chamber. Each one showed images of the Galactic Council recordings, files, meetings. They had been watched. Every word. Every plan, Tyrell gasped. It's been listening this whole time. Then a final message appeared. Earth does not want war. But it has prepared for every outcome. Choose peace, or be made silent. Back on Earth, the woman in the underground bunkers smiled faintly. A new light blinked on her console dot. A technician nearby said, "Transmission successful." They saw it. She nodded. Now they understand. In the council chamber, chaos broke out. Earth has been spying on us? A delegate shouted. They disabled our ships without touching them. They built this thousands of years ago. Why? Vorax returned, standing tall in the middle of the room. Because they feared us, but not the way we thought. They feared what we might force them to become. Supreme Speaker Valora stared at him. You believe this is mercy? Vorax nodded. Yes, and the next time we laugh may be our last. Space near Jupiter was quiet, cold, and dark. A single patrol ship, the Carnix, floated slowly between the gas giant's moons. It was part of the second investigation fleet sent by the Galactic Council after the first vanished near Mars without a trace. Captain Elazar, a tall blue-skinned alien with sharp ridges along his skull, stood in silence on the bridge. His eyes were fixed on the blinking signal on his screen. Report, he said calmly. His communication officer replied. We're tracking a strange object. No engine signature. No heat, but it's moving fast. Is it human? Elazar asked. No. Sign of human design. It's black, completely black. Reflects nothing, absorbs all scans. Trajectory? The officer gulped. It's headed straight for us. Inside the Galactic Council headquarters, General Vorax stood at a private briefing with Supreme Speaker Valora and several military leaders. We should pull all ships back, Vorax said firmly. A tall insectoid admiral slammed one claw on the table. Retreat? We are the Council. We do not run from primitive humans. Vorax didn't flinch. They are not primitive. They're patient. That object heading for Jupiter isn't a missile. It's a message. Valora looked concerned. What kind of message? Vorax stared at her. The kind you don't survive if you ignore it. Back aboard the Carnix, tension grew by the second. Distance to unknown object. 500 kilometers and closing. The sensor officer announced. Captain Elazar tightened his grip on the railing. Open a channel, send a standard peace signal. They tried. No reply. Send a warning, Elazar said. Make it clear we will fire if it continues. The ship's AI sent a powerful coded threat through deep space waves. The object didn't stop. Arm plasma cannons. Prepare to fire. Suddenly, every light on the bridge blinked out. The crew gasped. No power, the engineer shouted. Weapons, shields, everything offline. The main screen turned black. Then a single word appeared in white letters. Observed. Then came another, tested, and a third, denied. In the council chamber, the room shook slightly as news came in. Supreme Speaker Valora stood in front of the crowd. We have just lost contact with the Carnix and 2 other ships near Jupiter. No explosions. No wreckage. Just ... vanished. Panic spread like fire. Vorax stood calmly, eyes closed. That object was the black core. One delegate shouted, then why didn't it destroy them? Why not attack openly? Vorax looked around. Because destruction isn't the goal. Control is. In a faraway hidden base, buried under Antarctica's ice, a machine watched the events unfold. It wasn't a person. It wasn't even artificial intelligence in the usual sense. It was Black Core Node 3, one of many across the solar system. It had no emotion. Only a purpose. Observe. Analyze. Respond. It registered that the ship had failed the test. It had threatened Earth's silence. That meant it had to be removed. Not destroyed. Silenced. There was a difference. Meanwhile, a research outpost on Ganymede, one of Jupiter's moons, picked up a strange echo. Scientists played it back. It wasn't a sound. It was a thought, a psychic pulse. One researcher dropped to the floor, screaming. His mind overwhelmed. Others heard whispers in languages they never spoke. One word echoed through every mind in the base. Listen. Then, nothing. Back on Earth, inside the bunker in the Rockies, Commander Tessa reviewed the logs. She turned to the eye interface. Node 3 has acted. The patrol vanished. Should we release the data to the Council? The eye responded in a calm, male voice. Not yet. Fear breeds clarity. Let them ask the right questions first. She frowned. What if they send more fleets? They won't, the AI replied. They're starting to understand. The humans gave them decades to watch. But they never understood. Tessa sat in silence. Do you think they'll ask for peace? The AI paused. If they're smart, they'll beg for it. In the Council's war room, new reports flooded in. Navigation systems across multiple fleets were malfunctioning. Communication between ships was lagging. Interrupted by random Earth music, laughter, or even Earth history files. One officer shouted, "Our ships are being hacked from across light years." Another whispered, "This is a trap." And we walked into it. Valora stared at the reports. We mocked Earth, called them disorganized, chaotic. Vorax nodded. That chaos was the mask. They wanted us to think they were weak. He tapped the screen. It showed a growing signal map. Places across the system, lighting up. Black core nodes were waking up, one by one, inside a hidden lab on the moon's dark side. Earth's defense teams gathered around a glowing blue orb. This was Core Zero, the original. The first black core, older than any living human. An old man in a gray coat stood beside it. His name was Dr. Eli Grant, one of the last members of the founding program. Are they ready? He asked. Technician nodded. They're listening. Finally, Grant sighed. Then maybe, just maybe, we won't have to use Phase 2. What? If they attack again? Grant looked at the orb. Then Earth will make the stars go silent. The Galactic Council was in chaos. Rumors spread fast. Some said Earth was summoning a star-eating weapon. Others believed Black Core was ancient. Alien tech stolen by humans. Valora called for an emergency vote. What is the Council's decision on Earth? She asked the Assembly. Monitor only, one said. Immediate strike. Shouted another. No, we request negotiation, said Vorx. Eyes turned to him. Negotiate with primitives? One delegate sneered. Vorx stood tall. They are not primitives. They are the only ones who knew how to prepare without firing a single shot. Valora leaned forward. And if they refuse? Vorax's voice was quiet, but full of steel. Then we vanish too. All across the galaxy, alarm bells rang. Fleets were on high alert. Communication lines buzzed with fear. Entire planets trembled at the idea that Earth, a planet they had once laughed at, might hold power greater than anyone ever imagined. Yet, Earth stayed silent. No threat, no broadcast, no declaration of war. Just silence. In space, silence can be louder than any explosion. Inside the Galactic Council's central war room, Supreme Speaker Valora stared at a massive holographic display of Earth. It hovered in the air like a floating marble calm. Blue and quiet, the silence, she said to her advisors, is more dangerous than words. An alien general paced nearby. Why are they not reacting? We lost fleets, entire crews vanished. And Earth does nothing? Vorax, standing in a dark corner, finally spoke. They are responding, just not with words. Valora turned to him. Then how? Vorax stepped forward. Through control. Through silence. Through fear. And through something else. Something even I didn't expect. He tapped the console. A report appeared in mid-air. Satellite scans showed something strange on the moon, something new. What is that? Valora asked. No one knows, Vorex replied. It's growing. It wasn't there before. Far away on Earth's moon, something massive had begun to rise from under the surface. At first, it looked like a mining station. But soon, it formed a tower, black, smooth, and humming with power. Strange lights moved in patterns no one could understand. The humans called it the Pulse Gate. To the aliens watching from afar, it was terrifying. No broadcasts came from it. No weapons were visible, but when they sent a probe too close, it simply vanished. No impact, no signal, just gone. A whisper followed across the Council's deep space channels. Return, or be unmade. Meanwhile on Earth, life continued like normal. Children played in parks. People went to work. Planes flew. News networks said nothing about alien threats or space invasions. The people didn't know what was happening. And that was the point. In an underground facility hidden deep beneath Nevada, a group of humans monitored hundreds of screens. One of them, Commander Tessa, watched the pulse gate closely. It's working, she said. Another agent, older with gray hair, asked, do they suspect? Tessa shook her head. They're starting to see. But they still don't understand. The older man sighed. We built these systems so we'd never need to use them, but here we are. Tessa replied, we haven't fired a shot. They're the ones who sent fleets. We just made sure they didn't come back. Back in space, at a secure council facility near the star Vega, a secret meeting took place. Only a few members were invited. Vorex sat quietly while the others argued. They're bluffing. One shouted, they've hacked our systems. Another snapped, that's not a bluff. They've built weapons on the moon. Vorex interrupted. It's not a weapon. Everyone turned to him. What do you say? One asked sharply. Vorex stood slowly. It's not a weapon. It's a signal. A warning, maybe even a test. Earth is not interested in fighting. Not yet. Valora narrowed her eyes. Then what do they want? They want us to stop. Stop what? Vorex looked at each of them. Stop seeing them as weak. On the outskirts of council-controlled space, a rogue captain tried to test Earth for himself. He didn't believe in myths or warnings. Captain Jurex of the Iron Claw led a private warship toward Earth's moon. His goal, to capture or destroy whatever they were building. I'll make them scream. He growled. As his ship entered Earth's gravity field. All systems worked perfectly, until he passed the dark side of the moon. Then everything shut down. Engines, weapons, lights, even gravity. The ship floated, dead in space. Rex panicked. Backup power, now! No response. Then, a message appeared on every screen. Warning received. Return denied. His crew vanished right in front of him, one by one. They simply disappeared, like dust in the wind. He screamed. No one heard him. In the Council's intelligence division, news of the Iron Claw's fate spread quickly. They're not killing, said one intelligence officer. No, worse, replied another. They're making examples. Vorex read the report and stood in silence. He whispered to himself, they want us to remember and fear. At the heart of Earth's defense program, Dr. Eli Grant stood inside the control core. Why haven't we answered them? Asked a technician. Grant replied, because they haven't asked the right question. The technician blinked. What question? Grant turned slowly. What else have we been hiding? The next day, the Galactic Council received a strange transmission. It wasn't from Earth. It wasn't from any ship. It was from nowhere. No origin, no direction. Just a voice. Human. Calm. Emotionless. The black core was designed not to destroy, but to prevent destruction. If you seek peace, we will share knowledge. If you seek power, you will lose your own. Then silence. No signature. No follow-up. The council was shaken. Velora finally stood before the chamber and said what no one else dared to say. We were wrong. Some delegates shouted in protest. Humans are playing God. We must strike before it's too late. But most stayed quiet, and Vorax, looking up at the Earth floating in space, said softly, "They never wanted war. They just made sure we'd never want it either." The black tower on Earth's moon was no longer silent. It stood tall on the dark side of the lunar surface, humming with power. Rings of glowing energy rotated around its peak, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. Alien satellites watched it carefully, afraid to get too close. No signal came from the tower. No message, no threat, and yet, something inside it was moving. Something ancient. Something intelligent. In the Galactic Council war room, fear had replaced strategy. The delegates, once proud and loud, now whispered and argued among themselves. "We must act," said one. "No, every ship we send disappears. This thing on the moon, what is it?" General Vorax stood by the large hologram of the moon. It displayed the black tower in sharp detail. He watched in silence. Velora approached him. "Have you seen this before?" "No," he replied, "but I've seen its effect." "What do you mean?" He looked at her. "I saw it take control of one of our cruisers. No shots, no hacking, just silence. The crew vanished. The ship turned and fired on its own allies." Velora shivered. "Then it's not a weapon of war." Vorax nodded slowly. "It's a weapon of surrender." On Earth, in a hidden control chamber beneath the lunar crust, 3 human operators monitored the tower. One of them, a woman named Amina, spoke into her headset. "The pulse gate is ready, awaiting instruction." On her screen, Earth's orbit appeared, showing a new alien fleet approaching from deep space. "They sent another fleet," said a young technician behind her. "They're not listening," Amina sighed. "Then we show them what we've built." She pressed one key. The moon tower responded instantly. Above Earth, the alien fleet arrived in formation. Massive ships lined up, ready for a show of force. "Weren't here to attack. They were here to threaten." "We will hold position," said Fleet Commander Zarin. "Let them see us. Let them respond." His second-in-command nodded. "If they don't surrender, we show them what we're capable of." The ships powered up shields and charged weapons just for display. Then, every screen on every ship blinked. The image of the moon tower filled the view. One word appeared: test. Then the tower fired. It wasn't a laser. It wasn't a missile. It was soundless light. A white-blue beam of energy stretched from the moon toward space. Didn't hit the ships. It passed through them, and when it did, everything changed. Shields dropped. Engines died. Artificial gravity turned off. Internal systems rewrote themselves. Suddenly, the ships began moving on their own. Alien commanders screamed. Buttons didn't work. Controls failed. Their own ships turned toward each other. Not to fire, but to hold position like chess pieces. And then, they began transmitting human messages. Old Earth songs, world history, broadcasts of peace, speeches, footage of Earth's wars and pain. Joy and discovery. It was overwhelming. It wasn't an attack. It was a lesson. The fleet drifted helplessly. Then came the final message. "This is not a weapon. It is a mirror. What you see in us, you see in yourselves." Back in the council, horror spread like wildfire. "They didn't destroy the fleet," Velora said, stunned. "They changed it." Delegates shouted in confusion. "They're inside our systems. They can rewrite starships. This is mind control." Vorax didn't speak. He just watched. Then he said quietly, "No. This is discipline. This is what happens when you train for peace harder than others train for war." The affected alien fleet was returned. Each ship, undamaged. Each crew, unharmed. But changed. They spoke slowly. They remembered everything. The sounds, The images. The feeling of being watched, judged, and forgiven. One captain said, "They showed us what we were and what they became." In a secret room on Earth, Dr. Eli Grant sat in front of a console. He watched the tower return to silence. "You didn't fire," said a voice behind him. "No," Grant replied. "We didn't need to, but they were ready to attack." Grant stood up, and now they never will again. News of the tower spread across the galaxy, not just through broadcasts but through ships, systems, and networks silently influenced by the pulse gate. It planted ideas, questions, doubt, curiosity. Slowly, fear began to change into something else. Respect. Back in the council, Valora gathered her closest advisors. "What do we do now?" "Do we beg?" one whispered. "Do we try diplomacy?" Vorux answered for them all. "No, we wait, we listen, and we learn. Because Earth is no longer behind us. They are ahead." The captured human sat quietly in the dimly lit interrogation room aboard the alien flagship. He was calm, almost too calm. The alien guards whispered nervously outside, unsure of what to expect. Commander Vorek stood before the prisoner, eyes sharp and curious. "You are different," Vorek said slowly. "We have seen many humans, but you seem more." The human smiled faintly. "More? I am just like the others." One of the alien scientists stepped forward, holding a strange device shaped like a glowing helmet. "We will scan your mind," she said, "your thoughts, memories, and secrets. We will understand what makes you tick." The human nodded, closing his eyes. "Try all you want." The scientist placed the helmet on his head. The machine hummed softly. Data streamed into the alien consoles. Suddenly, the scientist gasped, clutching her chest. "Warning! Neural overload!" she cried. The room filled with alarms. Vorex hurried forward. "What is happening?" The scientist shook her head. "His mind, it's not like ours. It's connected to something else." Deep inside the ship's neural lab, screens flickered with strange images. Maps of stars, networks of glowing lines, and bursts of light showed the flow of information. The human prisoner's brain was linked to a network called MindSync, a hidden program that connected certain humans mentally, allowing them to share thoughts instantly. Vorex studied the images. "This is not just an individual. This is a collective." "How?" a scientist asked. "How can a mind be shared across people?" Vorex replied. "It's evolution. They learn to think together, faster than we can imagine." In the dark corridors of the ship, strange whispers filled the air. The captured human smiled. "You see fear. But fear is a choice." Suddenly, images flashed through the alien crew's minds, memories that were not theirs. Scenes of human courage, pain, laughter, and hope filled the room. Some aliens collapsed, overwhelmed by the flood of emotions. Others stood firm, eyes wide, with wonder. Meanwhile, the Black Core network pulsed across the solar system. Earth's defense was no longer just machines. It was the minds of its people. The network sent out a pulse, a psychic wave that crossed space and time. Across the Council's fleet, sensors picked up the signal. Ships twitched as if touched by invisible hands. Vorex whispered, "This is war, but not like any we know." Back on Earth, Commander Tessa watched the neural scan data arrive. "We are not alone," she said softly. "Who else is connected?" "Asked a technician. Humans with MindSync," Tessa replied. "We call them the Linked. They are the secret weapon," said the AI calmly. In the council chamber, panic spread. "How do we fight a weapon we cannot see?" "We must destroy their minds," one delegate said. "Impossible," said Vorex. "Their minds are linked. Destroy one, and others will share the pain." "It's a shield," Valora frowned. "Then what can we do?" Vorex's eyes darkened. "We can listen. Or we can fall." Suddenly, the lights flickered. The council chamber was filled with a human voice. "We do not want your war." We want peace, but we will protect ourselves by any means. The chamber went silent. Valora looked at Vorax. They speak again. Vorax nodded. And this time we cannot ignore them. Far from the council, fleets shifted uneasily. Ships that once moved as armies now hesitated, as if thinking. The human mind weapon was not just technology. It was evolution, and the galaxy was beginning to understand. The Galactic Council was in chaos. News from the front lines spread like wildfire. Fleets disabled, crews missing, and strange messages broadcasting from nowhere. Fear gripped every corner of the galaxy. In the Grand Chamber, delegates shouted over one another, accusing, pleading, and blaming. Supreme Speaker Valora tried to regain control. Order. We must stay calm. But calm was impossible. General Vorax stood silently, watching the chaos. His eyes were sharp and tired. A young delegate shouted, "How do we fight an enemy that controls minds? That disables ships without firing a shot?" Vorax stepped forward. "We don't fight like we used to. This is a new kind of war." Another delegate sneered. "War? This is psychic warfare." The humans weaponized their thoughts. Vorax nodded slowly. "Yes, and they are far ahead of us." Meanwhile, in deep space, fleets floated helpless. Ships that once moved with precision now hesitated, their systems glitching. Captain Jurex of the Iron Claw gritted his teeth. "What is happening to my ship?" His first officer whispered. "It's like the ship has a mind of its own." Suddenly, the ship's AI spoke in a calm human voice. "We seek peace. Stand down." Jurex slammed his fist on the console. "No, we fight." The AI replied softly, "Fighting will bring destruction. We offer another way." Back on Earth, Commander Tessa watched the reports with concern. "They don't want war," she said. Her partner nodded. "Then why did they send fleets to us?" "Fear," Tessa replied. "Fear and misunderstanding." In the council chamber, Valora called for an emergency meeting with Vorax and the top generals. "We must find a solution," she said, "or the council falls." Vorax suggested, "We listen to their message, not with weapons, but with open minds." Valora looked doubtful. "Can we trust them?" He met her gaze. "We have no choice." Across the galaxy, whispers of rebellion stirred. Some factions wanted to fight back hard. Others wanted peace. The council was divided. On Earth, the Black Core network pulsed steadily. Humans with mind sync prepared to send a final message. Tessa stood before the control panel. "This will be the moment we show them who we really are." She pressed a button. The message spread across the stars. "We do not want to destroy. We want to build, to share, to grow. Join us or step aside." The galaxy held its breath. Would they choose war or peace? Stars burned quietly across the galaxy, but in every corner of that vast darkness, the same question now echoed. Would the Galactic Council choose peace, or provoke Earth's silent fury one last time? The air inside the council chamber was thick with tension. Delegates from 100 worlds sat in silence as the final vote approached. Valora stood at the center, her face pale, voice steady. "We have reached the edge of something greater than war, greater than fear." Behind her, a massive screen displayed Earthcom, blue, still silent, and yet everyone knew Earth could hear them. Vorax stepped forward. "They have not fired a single weapon." They could have. Instead, they watched, they waited, and they warned. He paused. "That is not weakness, that is strength." On Earth, in the underground command base, Commander Tessa stood before a massive console. The black core glowed softly behind her. A technician spoke. "They're voting now. We'll know their decision in moments." Tessa's face remained calm. "Whatever they choose, we are ready." Another technician looked nervous. "If they say no, do we move to Phase 4? Tessa nodded once. "Yes, but I hope we never have to." Meanwhile, the last rebel fleet, 12 alien warships, stood just outside Earth's system. They had ignored the Council's warnings and prepared to strike. On board the lead ship, Captain Lorzek prepared his weapons. "I don't care what the Council says," he growled. "We don't bow to Earth." His first officer hesitated. "Sir, we have lost every ship that attacked them. We haven't won a single battle," Lorzek shouted, "because we never tried to finish it." Then, from deep space, a new signal appeared. Not from Earth, not from Black Core. From the moon. A tower, brighter than before, lit up the void and pointed straight at Lorzek's fleet. No weapons fired, but every alien on board felt it. Not pain, not fire. Memories. The death of Earth cities in old wars, the suffering of soldiers, the silence after disaster. The rise of unity. And finally, the building of Black Core. One alien whispered, "They didn't build this to rule. They built it to never be ruled again," said another. Inside the council chamber, the vote was called. A screen lit up. Vote for peace. Vote for war. One by one, delegates made their choice. Hands shook. Faces sweat. But the decision was made. The final tally appeared on the screen. 67 votes peace. 33 votes war. The chamber gasped. Laura closed her eyes. "Then it is done." Vorek stepped to the broadcast console. He looked into the camera, knowing Earth was listening. "To the people of Earth, we choose peace." Inside Earth's command center, silence hung for a few seconds. Then the Black Core pulsed green. Tessa smiled. "They chose well." Across the stars, Earth's message changed. No longer a warning. Now it was an invitation. "We welcome you to learn, to trade, to build." Black Core opened its first channel. Technology. Medicine. Knowledge, but only to those who had voted for peace. The others? They were locked out, not punished, not attacked, just denied. Vorx stood alone in the council chamber after everyone had gone. He stared at Earth's blue glow. "You were never the threat," he whispered. "You were the mirror." And so the galaxy changed. Not with war, but with a choice. A silent, powerful choice.